This episode of Ringer Reality TV Podcast is brought to you by Diet Coke. Let's face it, there are times when we may get a little too invested in our favorite reality shows. And that's when you need to pause and take a Diet Coke break to get back to reality. Shouting at your TV because your fave hate watch just keeps being nasty? Take a sip. Hiding behind pillows from too much cringe? Take a sip. Even getting a little too deep researching people's backgrounds? Please, take a sip. Diet Coke. Make time for you time.
Pod has spoken. This is the season wrap for season 48 of Survivor. 48 seasons. It is a lot of seasons. And that's another one, I guess, right? Another one wrapped. Riley, I didn't give you the kudos and congratulations you deserved yesterday when we recapped the finale. You called Kyle the winner before the season even started. You called it.
Right.
That's hardly ever done. Nobody ever does that. And that's why we are one of the greatest podcasts of all time.
Yeah. And I never deviated too. You know, in 47, I had Rachel early on. It wasn't preseason, but I had her like pretty early, and then I fell off. I was like, oh, I don't think so anymore. I switched to somebody else, and I regretted it forever. So this season I stuck with Kyle, and it paid dividends.
Yeah, it really did. I can't believe how many dividends you're getting paid right now. It's
well,
insane
as I recall last night, you said you'd send me a trophy. So
that's true. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
I already forgot about that. But
you
yeah,
already forgot about that. Luckily,
I'm sending. I'll get it. But yeah,
there's a video.
Yes, no, I will get you a trophy.
Okay.
Text me your address. Text me your address. You're getting a trophy.
All right.
Ashleigh's here. Ashleigh was burning the midnight oil trying to get our podcast from yesterday uploaded. So this is great news for us. I don't know if Ashleigh's the same as me, but when I miss sleep for a night, I'm actually funnier the next day. Like there's like a balance where like you miss just the right amount of sleep and you're fucking hilarious. So I'm hoping you hit that sweet spot. I might have. I drank so much coffee last night getting ready for the late finale episode. So I didn't sleep either. We have a very special guest with us. He's been sitting there just chomping at the bit, waiting to jump in here. And I made this intro extra long. Sam Phalen, spelled the cool way with a PH.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go? Is that like, did you let people know like in junior high, that seems like a thing where you're like, it's actually PH, pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I actually changed it to be PH.
Oh, it was an F before.
I wanted it to be spelled the cool way, just so I could say that to people. Yeah, have them mispronounce it all the time, then hold it over their heads forever. Yeah, it's kind of my thing.
Yeah, very cool. Well, we're very, very happy to have you. Big fans of you last week or last season. And I wanted to also say, we enjoyed you on the season, last season. But I think getting to know you via your Twitter posts and Instagram and interaction with the Survivor fan base, I think you're better than what we saw on TV as a person, as a personality in general. Is that something you get, or is that just me?
Well, one, I appreciate it. I would say I get that a little bit. You know, one of the aspects that I don't think came across on screen when I was on Survivor was like how much I love the game of Survivor and kind of like the brain that I like to think that I have for it. You know, I've been watching for as long as I can remember. And so like the nuances of strategy and just like a really deep love for the show is definitely something that I have, that I pride myself on, that I prided myself on in the game. And I don't know if it translated really. I feel like, you know, on 47, you're like, oh, we like this guy. He's cool. He's whatever. But some of the strategic,
PH.
yeah. Some of the strategic thinking, maybe not there. You know, it's like, you know me as the fruit guy and not necessarily the strategy guy or the, you know, big joke guy.
Okay. And do you regret? Is there any regret on any of that? Like, do you feel like you could have gone harder? Do you think it was an editing thing? What was?
No, yeah, it's really like my Survivor experience is really interesting because it's one that obviously didn't end right at Final Tribal Council how I wanted it to,
Mhm.
but it's weird when you come out of the game and you genuinely feel like you have no regrets. Like when I look back on the journey and like the moves that I made when I made them and my thinking at every kind of turn, there was never really a moment where I was like, oh, you know what? I don't know how I didn't see that. I should have gone this way or that way. Like, I mean, from being out there 4 times, right? Like the
Yeah.
amount of information that you have in the game is limited to what you have as a viewer, and you have to make your decisions based off of the information that you're privy to. So I don't feel like I ever regretted that. I feel like I played really hard, really strategically, and it maybe just didn't come across in the edit for, whatever reason. They got a story to tell.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I also noticed some of your tweets last night about how uh, heart
I was
wrenching. I don't know if heart wrenching is the word.
sure.
How down you felt after watching the finale as a former Survivor player, just being put back in that moment a little bit. Can you speak to that? And
Yeah.
how are you still that sad, or
No,
are
I
we
was I was a
brightening you
big
up a little bit?
I was a big baby yesterday, and I woke up today and like snapped out of it a little bit. But
Okay, you're going to be
you
the
know,
commissioner of the NFL here soon, so I think
right, right.
you're on the good track. You're going
I
to be
mean,
okay.
there is something about Fiji, I feel like when you're using the same locations and, especially a season like 48, which I know was filmed a week after like I left final tribal council as a loser, that this group of people walked in, and it was a month later that Kyle and Eva and Joe are sitting in those same seats.
Right.
And so I think when you watch back, like I watched a lot of the season and none of it really like bothered me. It just felt like I was watching Survivor again. But when you watch this end game and I'm sitting there and I'm watching, like, I mean, that final 5 immunity challenge was at the exact same filming location as where we had our final immunity challenge. Like they use that location a lot.
Yeah.
I'm watching a fire making challenge and feeling the intensity of it. And you're watching a final tribal council. And, it does bring back a lot of those fresh emotions. And you picture yourself sitting back, in that seat again. So yeah, there's like this weird sort of like heavy-hearted nostalgic feeling about it. And then you just got to wake up and be like, all right, quit feeling sorry for yourself. Time to bounce back.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there. I think I mean, you've been in the community long enough now that
Yeah.
you put 100 survivors in a room, and all of them will explain to you how they should have won their season if one of them had
Right.
changed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's just the
exactly.
conversation for the next, you could be months literally
Right.
of that just circling. And then everybody, as you're listening to them, you're like, no, there were still 13 moves, guy. Like everybody is like, the one time, it was just the one thing. It was like, you were second out, dude. You still had so much game
That
to play. Like you can't justify anything here. But
From what
they're all,
I've heard about
yeah,
like Ponderosa, I feel like that's like the Survivor juror experience too. Is like
yes,
every new person that gets voted out that goes to the jury is like the greatest Survivor player that's ever walked the face of the earth, and
yes,
they're just screaming a new like a new mic drop or a bomb that it's
yeah.
like, whoa, this is so insightful. And it's why you end up with juries being like, man, somehow the worst 3 players in the game are the ones sitting there at the end. I don't know how it happened like that. Like we're all amazing over here. Look at all that we did. I feel
Yeah.
like that's the common experience is reminiscing on how all of us would have won the game.
Well, even to the point where I remember some Ponderosa experiences as a new person would come in, the instruction from the production team there would be, let this person vent, let them say their stuff. You had your time last time. It's
Yeah.
their turn to, tell you how great they were and how they should have won, but didn't. And so, and that it literally is like they come in to the point where some people go so long that you just have to be like, I gotta go to sleep. I have to
And
go to
then you have
sleep
to
right
pop
now.
their bubble at the end and be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, exactly. We knew everything. We knew all of that. All the stuff you told us, we knew. Um, well, what did you think of this season, season 48?
Yeah.
There was some mixed reviews here. Jeff said it was one of his favorite seasons ever. A lot of production also echoed that sentiment. And a lot of the fan base, the hardcore fans, seemingly thought it was a little bit slow and boring. I believe the twists and turns as far as who was in control probably was the main reason for that. But then there's a lot of casual fans who really, really loved the season and thought that it was really, really great. Riley is in the I love the season. It's really, really great. As he was
No,
mentioning before.
that's not I did not say I love the season. It was really great. I feel like I'm in the rare position where I like the season more than the consensus. Maybe I'm just too online brained,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing all these people, all these tweets. You know, that Twitter algorithm is so aggressive now, and it's just feeding me all this stuff about people who hated this season or hated this player or whatever. And I was like, it wasn't that bad. Like it was a solid season, I thought, which I feel like makes me above the consensus on it. But I don't know, how do you guys feel?
Sam?
Um, I think I tend to this was not my favorite season. It's one of my least favorite seasons in a little bit, but I do think this is a season that would play better on like a rewatch than it probably does in real time. I think the monotony of week to week, you know, person at the bottom goes home, person at the bottom goes home, nothing changes, can make a season feel really slow.
Yeah.
And when you rewatch it and you're able to like whip through the Star and the Mary Boot in one sitting and like move on
Yeah.
to the next new exciting thing, I think it can make a season more digestible. Um, I think why does Jeff and production like this season in a way that's not really landing with the audience? To me, I have to look at what Jeff and the players in the game said is like the identity of the season, which is that it's emotional. Um, the season really seems to rely on emotional connections and a really cool bond between Joe and Eva, this cool secret duo between Kyle and Camilla. Some of these relationships, even like antagonizing relationships, when you look at Mary and Say early on in the game, like those are the things that I think make the season fun for the people that are out there and experiencing it up close and personal. But like emotion and relationships are probably the thing that translate the least to an audience at home. It's why people that are, the Survivor viewers sit and go, why are you crying about having to vote this person out? Like, why are you, crying about getting your loved ones visit or your letters from home? And like, why are you so emotional? Because it's just kind of an experience that doesn't fully get captured through the lens of a camera. And I think that probably is why people out there, Jeff thinks it's epic and cool, and he's seeing the intensity of these relationships. And at home, you're wanting a move to be made. And sure, Survivor now is not this survival show. It's not this like, let's see if these people can survive in the wilderness. Let's go to a really cool place, do fun challenges, and then crown a winner at the end. Like, people watch the show for the strategic and social dynamics. And when a lot of the main people on the season that make it really far, the way that they are sort of championing their own game is by saying that like they didn't make a move and they wanted to get here with a group, right? The people who are there to watch the strategy unfold are not going to be really satisfied by that level of gameplay.
Yeah, I think that's it. I also think to add on to that emotional element that you said, I think the Eva and Joe connection happened early and was so powerful in person. And I think that production probably thought that would last the entire season and elevate
Mm,
all of it as Joe and Eva navigated the game. And they didn't realize maybe when they said that this is one of the great seasons is that the viewers forget very quickly. And that's
sure.
something that a lot of people, when they go on the show and they make a blunder, any reality show, and you feel like an idiot and you come home and you're devastated and you think, oh, I have to live with this forever. Wrong. Like 1 or 2 weeks maximum. And then
Yeah.
America forgets all of it. And so without tying back to that emotion over and over and over again between Joe and Eva, they weren't going to keep that running to the end, even though their bond was tight and stuff. Like, once that moment where Joe ran over and hugged her and calmed her down happened, it was, a flash in the pan. That was great. It was all over. Survivor social medias pushed it as hard as they could and kept pushing it. They had Joe and Eva run the gauntlet on the press tour during
Yeah.
that time. And then America was like, okay, now let's see somebody get stabbed in the back. And they were like,
Mm.
can you just stay with Joe and Eva here for a bit? They're like, no, not anymore. We already had that. Give us our next thing.
Well, I think
And
Yeah, well, I think like this is another working theory I've had about this season and then seasons in general. Like if you were to look at and think about what are the best seasons in Survivor history, and you were to really like um get into like what makes them great. I think what makes a good Survivor season is like changing narratives and dynamics and watching players have stories that are evolving, which allows you to have like an emotional investment into those players. I like to think 47 was like a really good season that people seem to really enjoy. And when I look at
Unbiased, right?
47, huh?
Unbiased opinion.
Unbiased take. Yeah,
Okay.
great season. But, like, I think when you look at, like, our season, one of the things that I think landed with a lot of the people is that you look at, a handful of players that made it really deep in the game, and we all sort of went on this roller coaster, right? Like, Andy goes from this day 2 meltdown and looks like this easy first boot that, is just, like, a non-factor to then raising out of the ashes like a phoenix and then getting really overconfident. And like, it's sort of this really cool evolution of like, is Andy being underestimated or is he overestimating himself? And does he actually fit into all of this? And like, I play the whole pre-merge from the top and then I play the whole post-merge from the bottom, trying to stay alive. And Rachel deals with this target on her back and having to win over and over and over again. And you see Genevieve battle this, like, do I play as a game robot who just like doesn't make any friends, and can I play that way, or do I need to make emotional connection and friendships? And so I think by the time you get to the end of the season, you've seen us battle a lot of different things, and because of that, you have some of us that you hate, some of us that you love, but you have an opinion about all of us and you care. And one thing that I think 48 lacked, like you said, Tyson, is like the Joe and Eva relationship is powerful in the first episode, and it's powerful in the fourth or fifth episode at the challenge, but they never change the status quo enough to make us see a different side of it. Like, what does Eva look like without Joe by her side? What is like if somebody blindsides Eva out of the game, does Joe get pissed? And what does a pissed off Joe look like? And like that stuff is what I think really is like pulls you in as a viewer. And I don't feel like we had enough of those, like, hills and valleys.
There was no antagonist that
Mm.
was molding the game enough that it was putting the viewers
We
on
just
the edge
needed
of their
Say to
seats or on
stick
their
around
heels.
longer.
We just needed,
Yeah,
we needed that element of chaos of somebody to like stand up and be like, we got to split Joe and Eve up. We have to. Like
yeah,
that
Yeah.
alone, whether or not it actually worked out, would have been enough. Like if publicly they knew that everybody had an eye on them, like that. And I think that is why, and that's not like anybody's fault. It just didn't
sure,
happen. For as a player in a Joe or a Eva position, that's a dream. Blood versus water for me was mostly like that until the
mm,
rock draw, but that was like the only hurdle really for me. And so and the same thing, it kind of was a slow-ish ending. A lot of people still unbiased opinion, great season, but a lot of people thought it was probably too straightforward. Uh
Blood versus water?
the season I won. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that season's pretty well
I,
regarded.
it was a
Yeah.
fine season. There was
yeah.
entertainment value and stuff, but also like there was no like who's gonna win at a certain point. Like the
But I
finale,
think I think
yeah,
one thing that Blood versus Water has, right? Because like I actually rewatched it not that long ago, and I think I found that I was surprised at how engaging that I found it, because like I do think of it on paper as like a pretty straightforward post merge.
yeah,
But what I find really like engaging about the season is like the arc that a lot of the people that make it deep go through. Like your journey is pretty well, documented throughout the whole season. I think like the Aris and Vetus dynamic of like these brothers and Sierra and Laura, like those are the things that make you care about these people that are like going deep in the game, so that you are either like pro Tyson or anti Tyson, but
yeah,
like you have a rooting interest that makes the season really compelling. Um, so like yeah, I think that I think your season is another example of like those different arcs, and watching how people react to their loved one getting voted out like is always going to be interesting and fun and
yeah.
good
That
TV.
is true. That is true. That was even in the moment you were like, how are they gonna react when they show up and find
Yeah.
this person gone? Can't wait to see. Um,
You know, I
yeah,
was also wondering, if this season the season of Survivor kind of messed up in terms of the streaming process. So I don't know if like
Hmm.
us as an audience enjoyed it as well as we enjoyed like rewatching Blood versus Water because of the fact that they split up everything week by week. I don't know if we should continue to do that, if we should just split it into thirds maybe because
I mean, like get
if
a
we
4-pack of
Oh,
episodes.
yeah, because
Whoa.
that would be
like
unprecedented, but
it's
I don't
new,
hate
but
it.
like when we had the episodes where they're just getting rid of people who were at the bottom, if we just can get through that and then we can still continue our relationship with Joe and Eva instead of getting annoyed by the non-change in the storyline. I feel like it's just how we ingest content right now. It just
Hmm.
doesn't work for audiences anymore to just split it up week by week
To have
anymore
an
because
anticlimactic episode
yeah,
when you just like burn
because it
through two
started
or
off
three of those and
amazing.
stretch something
Yeah,
out more. That's
because
more,
the beginning
yeah,
of this season was so much fun. I remember we were all just really excited about where it was going to go. We didn't know who was doing what, where was going where. And the Eva and Joe thing was like fantastic.
yeah,
And then we also had like Say and Mary, you know what I mean? And if they just split it up properly, I think that the storyline would just work a lot smoother than
Mhm.
us waiting and then seeing that nothing has changed this episode and then nothing has changed this episode and then something kind of changed that episode. Like it needs to kind of, they just need to block it out properly, I think.
yeah. I mean, you still, the only hiccup there is that you have to end the episode in an elimination and a heartbreak. You have
Yep.
to. Like that's
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah, we
wants
do want
blood at
that.
the end of that.
Yeah.
Like the TV shows where they're like lead up to an elimination and they're like next week the elimination.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, are
Terrible.
you
No, that's
kidding me?
crap.
I never ever would have turned on a single episode of this show if I knew that on season 10 you were going to do this to me. I never would have supported you throughout any of the seasons. I didn't realize we weren't going to see somebody's heart ripped from their chest this episode. Uh, so yeah, but you could like do a 2-pack or something. That's interesting thought, Ashley. I've never even thought of that, but there are those moments like
I mean, there are examples in history, right? Like now the new era follows that format of like Murgatory is usually like a double boot kind of a
yeah,
deal. And you'll get like that double tribal council split into one. But it like before the new era, it used to be very common of like if you had sort of a nothing burger tribal council, you just throw it on like the front half of a double 2-hour episode
Yeah.
or something like that, and
yeah,
make sure that people don't leave dissatisfied with what they just watched.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wonder if like this is also sort of an effect of it expanding to 90-minute episodes too, where it's like now when you get these really straightforward, like the
they're
Star and
extra
Rarity
long.
boots, it's we
Yeah.
gotta have all this buildup of like, are they gonna turn on Joe? Is this the week to make a move? And then it's like, no.
So you think
And
more commercials on these weeks, less
yeah,
less
more commercials. No, not
less
a no,
Survivor,
but
more
like
commercials.
okay, you know how like some of the scripted shows now, like if you're on an HBO or a Netflix or whatever, they've started to really play around with
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
the
like this
time slots.
episode's
They're like,
23 minutes and the next episode's 37.
yes,
Hmm.
exactly. They realize
Yeah,
that oh, we don't have to actually fit to a block like to the second anymore and plan everything out. And so it's like, can you imagine if those straightforward episodes were instead of being what ends up being like 65 minutes of runtime with commercials is like our standard Survivor episode now, if those were like 45 minutes, if we just
yeah,
like condense those down, like we were saying last night too, like if the Mitch boot had been its own episode, that would have been a brutal episode, but
yeah,
instead it gets folded into the finale, and so it's real short and they just rip through it and they rip through tribal council and like we're moving on to the next thing. That's
yeah.
where within an episode they can play with how much time
Yeah,
things
but then
get. But if it's like,
if the Mitch Boot episode were a single episode and they played with time, it would be like a 12-minute episode.
that's what,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a webisode, right? Like you just it's a
That would have been
secret
real
scene.
OG Survivor where you like finish the challenge and the next thing you know, it's like, all right, we're going to tribal and
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
in and out.
in and out. I want to talk about Mitch here for a second, Sam. We didn't talk about his boot very thoroughly last night. We skipped over it, kind of like the show did. If you're being told at Final Five that you're dead, should
Yeah.
you go look for an idol at least? Should you try to do something? Like what is there any play? Did he make a play and we didn't see it? Like what's going on? Because he seemed to just like roll over and be like, well, that sucks. I guess it's done for me.
Yeah, it did feel like he sort of rolled over and was like, you're telling me I'm going home, therefore I'm going home, and there's nothing that I can do. And just me, but like that's not how I played the game, or like how I would play the game.
I would have gone on a rampage.
I'd go make up the craziest lie possible and be like, try to spread all the chaos in the world, act like I have an idol. I don't know, do whatever
Dump
you
all the
can to get.
food, throw the
I mean,
machete in the ocean.
we've seen like Joe was told, oh, Shaheen might have an idol at the final six, and he kind of has this like freak out and votes out Shaheen, right?
Yeah.
Like if you and I think Kyle, his name coming up was a concern for him. He got very worried when he saw his name on parchment as Mitch's vote at the beginning there. At that point, make your case and then try to cause chaos and do whatever you can. Like my philosophy would always be like, man, you don't go out that door unless you're like having to be dragged out of there.
Yeah.
So
You're
I
leaving
would have
claw
liked to.
marks in the sand.
I was really like expecting, I mean, like go to Eva, who has an idol, who is at the final five right now, who there is a very clear person going home, and you say, Eva, do you want to win this game? Nobody's voting for you tonight, but if you play that idol on me and take out Kyle, you win. Like try something to like, make yourself stay in the game and get in the ear of the other people that are out there.
Yeah. And that could have happened. We just didn't see it. But it was interesting, and I do think that for for me as a Survivor player, you never tell someone they're going home exactly for that reason, because you don't want them to freak out and cause chaos. Like keep them chill,
Yeah.
let them think they're fine. If they're like, "Is it me?" Be like, "They think it's you, but we're not doing you. Like you, but you got to keep playing like it is you, and then just vote them out. Like do something." But you're not telling people they're going home, because that gives people a free pass to act crazy.
The only time Yeah, I mean, the only time on 47 that, like, I or anybody else was like, "Ugh, you know what, Jeff, I'm dead. I hope it's not me tonight," was when we already had another plan cooking up and we're trying to play dead so that, like,
Yes.
it was always a giveaway, like, oh, if somebody's playing like they're dead and that they're leaving the game tonight, that they probably have something else going on, and you have to, have your, um, radar out for that.
Yeah. I think it's I was a little disappointed that we didn't see something, some scramble there. That's probably also what made it like wouldn't have carried as an episode, because Mitch put up almost zero fight in that moment.
Why do we think that this season, because some people did a little bit of it on my season, but like the idea of telling the person that they're going home, right? Like, why is that common now in Survivor when it doesn't seem like it used to be? Or I mean, I guess if it used to be, it was when somebody really had no other options. But
So there was a time when it wasn't. It was like, because you don't want people to lose their minds and start
right.
going berserko, and so you're trying to hide that. Then my understanding and my feeling, because I've been through that era, was people were kind of playing to jury at that moment, thinking like, if I'm straightforward and tell them they're going home, then they'll vote for me when I'm on the jury, because I at least showed them this like little small bit of mercy
Mm.
on their way out the door. And so then I think after COVID, that's when the shot in the dark came into play, specifically for that reason, to keep people from saying, because it sucks the wind out of a blindside if somebody knows they're going home. Even if they play like they kind of don't or whatever, it's not the same hit as if somebody's completely shocked that
Yeah.
their name comes up and then they're going home. So I think that to try and combat that, production put in the shot in the dark play. So would then, because that's really what killed the energy from the Mitch boot, was that he knew, would then an everlasting shot in the dark for each player negate that? Is that too wild of an idea? Be like, you
Hmm.
can use it anytime, but you lose your vote. Like, is that too
I don't.
powerful? Is there a way we can make it a little less powerful? Something?
I mean, maybe, right? Like, an everlasting shot in the dark. I think it starts, like, it probably starts with the players, right? Like, I think you just have to get players that understand that, like, lying is part of the game. And, you know, like, and I think,
But
I
is
don't
it
know,
part of the
like,
game? Like these guys played honor. That's the thing, is like you always get
well,
these
right.
guys that are
But you
like,
get
not
it.
always, but you get this guy who's like, I'm going to be honest. I'm the first guy to do this. Coach did that on Token Sheens, or he
Yeah.
claimed to do it. Um, but you get these people, and I think because that's their narrative that they've created, then they're more likely to tell someone they're getting voted out, because they're like, look at how honorable and honest and loyal I am. I'm telling somebody that they're going
Yeah.
home because that's who I am, and
The
I'm
right
so
thing to
great.
do.
It's
Yeah.
the right thing to do. Yeah.
I mean, I think it comes down to the players, maybe like the ones that are being told that they're going home, right? Like Survivor has a way of doing this sort of course correction throughout time of, you know, you lean too far any one way and it has a way of humbling you back to the mean. And I would have loved to see, you know, the season of honesty and integrity say, hey, Mitch, you're going home with the final five. Mitch says, okay. He goes out, finds an idol, idles Joe out of the game and goes, what now? You know, like, thanks for telling me I was going home.
Yes.
You know, like that certainly happened to Andy on my season. Andy, you know, thinks he's going to do jury management with Rachel. He spends an entire afternoon telling Rachel that she's going home and how great the game that he's played. And so then she stands up, plays her idol, and votes him out. And, you know, I can guarantee you that Andy would never do that again, right? Like maybe it's a calculated risk at the time, but it's a lesson that you learn the hard way. And so I think it's just on those players that are on the bottom. Like, don't be like, hey, you guys like me so much. That means a lot. Thank you. I'm going to take that. I'm going to walk out, get my hero's exit. Like, go down kicking and screaming, causing a problem. And eventually I think people will stop doing it. Like you said.
Yeah, I think so. I also think it does, because you brought up Andy. Andy was convinced that nobody recognized his game. So he was like, I have to start telling people about my game. So I think that was circumstantial as well.
Sure.
Depending on
Absolutely.
the player. Because someone whose game is up front doesn't need to go around and tell people why they're so great. How will we talk about 48 in 5 years? The season before 50? We'll say it's the season before 50.
The season before the season before 50. I think this is probably like the Joe and Eva season, right? Like, I mean, that has certainly been the relationship that has dominated most of the discourse, and it has set the tone for a lot of the season. Duos and Joe and Eva's relationship. So I think, you know, that the hidden duo between Kyle and Camilla is certainly not something that I can recall seeing to that level throughout the history of Survivor. People who, at least from what we can tell throughout the editing of the show, like people really did not pick up on the fact that they were working together all the way into the end, which is wild.
It's so wild.
Crazy that, you know, given
people try it all the time, and you're just like immediately people pinpoint it.
I did the same thing. I mean, like overnight I had it was night one. I talked to Sierra, like everybody was sleeping on night one. And then we like woke up in the middle of the night and like we were both sitting in the shelter and the other 4 people were sitting around the campfire at like 2 a.m. And you're like, 1, what are you doing? Go to bed. 2, I'm sitting in the shelter and everybody's talking. This is very bad for me. And so then we were kind of sitting there and we locked in this like relationship. But what we really wanted to do was have Sierra be with the girls, right? While I'm sort of the outsider, the clear 4 in this group of 4 that we had established. And if we were able to have a clear duo for both of us in a 4, that's not obvious to the rest of the people in the 4. That's how we were going to navigate. And I think we did a good job hiding it from the people on our tribe. Gata seemed to not really have an idea that Sierra and I were working together. That's how we were able to get Annika out and blindside her. But then we get to the merge and like to me and Sierra, it really doesn't feel like we're talking often at all. It's like one conversation in passing. You good? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Go our separate ways. Next thing you know, Sierra gets voted out and everybody's like, yeah, obviously we knew you guys were like a really tight duo. Okay, I didn't know everybody knew that. That's news to me. Wow, like it's so much harder to actually hide than you think it is. It's shocking to me that Kyle and Camilla could plan all this stuff together, Kyle could outwardly protect Camilla as vocally as he did multiple times, and somehow the other people in the game are still just kind of writing it off as whatever.
Yeah, it was. Uh, it'll bring us to the after show segment where they did talk about that, and it seemed like everybody in the game was shocked when it was revealed, and uh, they even talked about like sometimes we wouldn't talk for a day or two,
Yeah.
and when we would talk, it would literally be for 10 seconds as we crisscrossed paths somewhere, and that's how you have to do it. That's how you envision it as a Survivor player, but still, like it comes down to even the body language, even where you're sleeping and who you're sleeping by at night,
Yep.
who you're sitting by when the group is all sitting together. Like you have to avoid each other all the time, not look at that person, not do anything to make anyone feel like you have any type of bond with that person, which is an insane way to play with your closest ally.
It's hard to talk, like when people talk about them too, like, oh, how do you feel about so and so, and you have to just kind of be like you
Not
don't want
really
to throw
getting a
'em.
read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to throw them under the
Mm.
bus and be like, "Oh, I don't like him, not working with him, definitely not working with
Yeah.
him." But
Yeah.
you also don't want to do what Kyle did for Camilla multiple times to be like, "Oh, I've got them. Don't worry about them. They're voting with us. Let's
Yeah.
not vote them out." So you have to try to find that balance. It's impossible. It's why we haven't really seen it for 48 seasons so far. So I think, when you look at 48 and how 48 will be remembered and defined, I think it will be that Kyle and Camilla secret relationship sort of being unprecedented, and then the culture that was sort of established by Joe and Eva and this, strength and honor group.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would imagine that you get like right now it feels like a lot of times when there's a duo they're like we'll be like Malcolm and Denise. Like Malcolm and Denise is like the go-to, like
Yep.
I'll be Malcolm, you'll be Denise. I imagine now
Everybody wants
we'll
to be Malcolm, right? In
Yeah,
that.
probably.
well, hey
Well, at
man,
least
I
in the
would rather
game.
be Denise and have the $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that I think that's why it works so well, is that either one that you are feels really good. But I think that now we'll get a lot of people being like, oh, like we'll be like Kyle and Camilla. Like we'll just have a few words in passing or whatever. I imagine it will go belly up because they won't be able to actually develop that level of trust that those two were able to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is what's hard, is that you want to do that. And then you see like, okay, Sam and I have a secret relationship. He's working that angle. I'm working this angle. We know everything. But then at a certain point, you're like, but now he's working that angle too hard. I'm watching him. He's over
It,
there. He's over there too
yep.
much. But I know I
Yep.
should avoid him because we're together. But why is he over there? So then you start checking in more. And then you're like, are you really? And then that breeds mistrust with Sam, as he's like, don't you trust me? I'm doing this for us. And I was like, no. I trust you. Let me go talk to my group too, and do my work. And then you're like, okay, that was weird. Like you blow it up yourselves on each other because it's Survivor. And you're at some point,
Yeah.
you're like, shoot, am I the balance? Maybe I'm not checking in enough. Maybe now I'm checking in too much. Maybe.
So
Yeah.
this is the strategy. Day one, you go to every person on your tribe and
Secret
you say,
alliance.
I'll
Secret
be Camilla
alliance.
and you'll be Kyle. We have a secret alliance.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody we're the
Yep.
secret duo of this
Yeah.
season.
I'll
And
tell you what my job is on the last day.
Yeah. I'm actually a lawyer.
But yeah, I mean, Tyson, what you said is so real. But I think the number one thing that you need in an alliance partner on Survivor is like chemistry, which is not really like tangible, but like you just have to have a feeling of like somebody has to be able to ease your mind with exactly what you're talking about, like those conversations that everybody's always going to have. You have to sort of have like the ability to just efficient communication, ability to just settle your nerves. And it is like a double-edged sword because you both have to be willing to do it, right? If you're both not willing to be sort of selfless and trust the other one, then it's going to cave in on itself, which is what makes it rare, because like Survivor is a selfish game where you're playing for yourself, not a group, unless you're on season 48. So you're playing for yourself to win, and you have to sort of act as if like you're putting the good of your duo above your own self-interest or paranoia, delusion.
Right.
I had
Which
that.
Camilla did. I don't know if Kyle did that, but Camilla
Camilla
definitely
totally did that.
tanked
And
a little bit for Kyle.
Yeah, and then and you see the ramifications of that for Camilla too. Like she obviously goes out and fire here, but as we heard from the jury, she's one fire away from winning the game. And so her level of patience, her ability to sit back and trust Kyle on the season proved to be like a pretty good move for the longevity of her game and her win equity overall. But it doesn't always work that way. And I had like two sides of that same coin with Sierra, with Genevieve later in the game. I felt like I did have this sort of like just unspoken level of trust where, you would let things get in your head, but at the end of the day, you're like, no, I know that we're good. Right. And then when I tried to do the exact same thing with Andy, and him and I have talked about this outside of the game a lot, like when we voted out Annika, what I kept telling Andy we were going to do at the merge is I'm like, we're going to get to the merge and I'm going to pretend like you're on the bottom. Right. Like, you're still Andy, who had like the meltdown at the challenge, right? Nobody likes you. We don't care to play with you because we can't seem really joined, you, Sierra, and I. We had just seen season 45 where everybody was like the Reba 4 was top in mind for everybody. So we didn't want to seem super like united as a tribe. And we did that and we tried to execute that plan. And I didn't check in with Andy enough to reassure him, like, hey, I'm still playing this up, by the way. Like, I'm still like saying, hey, it's fine if you guys want to vote out Andy. And so he gets in his mind that now I've gone all the way to the other side and I played into it a little bit too hard and that I actually don't want to work with him. So he makes a move against me and it just creates like distrust between the two people, like you said, that is sort of not recoverable at all.
Yeah, it isn't. And I also think in Andy's position there, if I'm Andy and I'm looking at you and Sierra and I'm like, oh, they're number ones. I'm not number one. I'm expendable to them. That's a problem. If I'm your
Yeah,
number one and we're working that angle and I know I'm your number one,
sure.
I that brings me more comfort than being your number two and trying to work that angle.
Definitely.
Because if I'm number two, I feel expendable to you. You don't have my best interest. You have maybe third best interest is what I am to you.
Yeah.
So I understand Andy there when I saw his reasoning and the way he saw it, but that's why it's so tricky. It's so tricky because you need someone that doesn't seem like they're with you. And yeah, so big kudos to Camilla and Kyle for making it work. Uh, Other takeaways from the after show. I've never experienced this live after show right after. We did a little bit
Mhm.
on Winners at War. They didn't reveal the votes, but we had pizza and talked and stuff like that. But I think save the pizza for after they film. Like when you're like
Yeah.
Kyle and he's like chewing on pizza and they're like, "Oh,
What? Save the questions until
save
Los
the pizza."
Angeles.
No, you
Sure, save you think I think live.
Get
Do live. But
really?
or
Wait,
no,
you
no, I
you
don't
think
think
that they
live.
should?
I don't think do live. I think do
Oh,
the
do it
reunion.
live like
Do
later.
reunion. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The winner reveal, you can do the reveal on the island if you want, but the live reunion is where you need the thoughts. You need people to decompress. Is that
It
Sam, was
it's
that hard for you to sit there and try and eat pizza and drink champagne and know that the audience is watching your
yeah.
broken heart on TV and being like, I don't want to look like a fucking asshole here because I'm pissed, but uh like it's it,
That's the thing, right? Is yeah,
it's not real. It's not real for you. We're not seeing your real emotion because you understand that you can't show your real emotion because people that watch it will think you're a crybaby.
yeah, well, you don't even like you don't have all the answers too, right? Like
Yes.
I'm going to be butthurt about something that like I don't even know all the information about. I haven't talked to these people yet. I don't know
Yes.
why
yeah.
people didn't vote for me, right? So in the moment you try to be like gracious and just kind of be like
It's a
obviously I'm
game.
yeah, obviously I'm
Wow.
devastated, but like I'm happy to be here sort of a thing. But yeah, it's like it's obviously in the back of your mind. People are watching this. Don't be the butthurt sore loser on
Yeah.
TV. Try to put up like a happy face. And I think it does sort of rob you of some of the coping that I think people get. It's really brag for you, but not a spot that you've ever had to be in. But I think it's a unique spot to be when you are a loser at Final Tribal because, like, you also go home the next day.
Yeah.
Like the next day you're on a flight back to the States. And for all the people that have gone into Ponderosa and have sort of decompressed and recapped the game, I think there is something about that experience that brings a lot of people closure with their experience, especially those who are there longer. And I felt like our jury, by the time the game was over, they're ready to crown a winner, to put a bow on it, to be done, to go back and to see their family. Like let's
Yeah.
party, let's celebrate. But even then, we've done 2 weeks of
They
partying. Like
decompress. They're ready to go
I'm
home.
ready to go home.
Yeah.
And then you're the person who just lost the game. And people don't really want to keep talking about
Yeah.
Survivor and why they didn't vote for you and
It finished for them when
unpacking
they voted.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Once they voted, it finished for them. And so
Yeah.
then you are left stuffing down your real emotion because you are on TV wanting to be, gracious and be a good sport and wait to get all the information. And then you don't even always get all the information from the people. And then next thing you know, boom, you're back home. So it is a really challenging, like 24, 48 hours right there, right at the end. So, and that's part of it too. I'm watching the after show last night and like the pain on Joe's face.
Yeah.
Like he just looked like he was in agony the whole time watching the votes come out and then watching the end. It didn't seem like he was having the best time. I'll say that.
And the reveal of Kyle and Camilla pulling one over on him with the Shaheen thing, like that really just took the wind out of everyone's, out of Joe and Eva's sails. You saw both of them be like, oh shit, we're done. We're done here.
And I want them to like when they watch it back, they'll see exactly how that unfolded too.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
they
when
can
I want to
comment
hear
on
from
it.
them about it. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of stuff like, stuff from, you feel like you swap enough stories and you hear a lot about most people's game, but when you really watch it back, I think you can really see like the chops of everybody and how good of a player they were, or how, the story ended up unfolding in order to have like a real opinion about it. Right. Like I don't think I got why I lost until I watched the show back. And I was like, oh, I understand now where my like wrong steps were, that bring in some of that closure, but like you don't have those answers in the moment, as Riley said.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think that all you're doing at this point with this live reunion is rehashing the information you've already been privy to and you've already spoken on throughout the season for the most part. So
I will say
it's hard.
To the credit of the live reunion, one of the things it does give us is it can be fun to see players react to information being revealed in real time. Like I think back to when Jamie got voted out in Survivor 44 and she thought she got voted out with like an idol in her pocket. And then like we got to see her reaction live to finding out it was a fake that Matthew made and got meta. Like that is why I want to tune into a live reunion, for reactions like that, or for for some of those really big reveals of information that you're like, wow, how crazy would it be to be a player watching this at home, finding this out for the first time right now, right? When Jeff is able to drop that bomb, that's fun. But some seasons, like there isn't that bomb to drop.
Yeah. I think do a live reunion for a little bit of time. Maybe fly the final 5 families out to witness it, and so they have those people there with them, or somebody, maybe even they're not on camera to watch it unfold, but are present or something. Because you're right that those losing finalists have nowhere to decompress their sorrows, because nobody cares. I've been on the jury where the finalists come out and they are looking for something, and I'm like, fuck you guys. You guys voted me out like a week ago. I don't give a shit about think about my sorrow, asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care at that point, especially about the finalists, because they're crying about making it all the way to the end. And I'm like, well, how do you think making it only halfway feels, dude? Like, as you don't have that. The winner is so happy. They won $1 million. They don't give a shit. They understand your pain. They can see it, but they can't really empathize with you very well because they are on top of the world. The best they can do is not gloat.
Yeah.
And I was very careful because I tried, like Monica and Jervis, we are friends. We're still friends. We traveled home together and all that stuff. But in my mind, I was like, it's a heartbreaking. Like they also wanted to win.
Mm.
And so the fact that they're even like still like friends and stuff is a testament to like our our bond. But I think that gets really, really tricky. And everyone on the jury gets to come back out, decompress with the group, and you all have this shared common bond of hating the people who made it to the end. Like you
And
get to
there
come out and be like, fucking Sam and Rachel, they they got us all, and like
yeah.
let's who cares, we have to vote for one of them to win, but like we all have each other and we all get to at least share in this little bit of angst towards them.
There's also no more like mystery, right? Like when you're on the jury, you get
Yeah,
to live and bask in the glory of I would have won had I gotten there, and they had to take me out because I was such a huge threat,
yeah,
right? Like they all knew that I was going to win the game and that I was the best player, and that's why that I got voted out. We see half the people that get voted out say it as they walk out the door.
yeah. Good thing you got me when you did. Good thing you
Right.
got me when you did.
And when you get all the way to the end and then don't get the votes, it removes that mystery of what would have happened had I gotten there. It removes the mystery of I was the best player here,
Yes.
because you get humbled really quickly and told you're not, and we don't think of you that way. And see you later, bud.
Yeah.
And but that's real. And then you watch the show back, and sometimes the show is edited to make people look like, right, they call it like the fallen angel or whatever, or like the dragon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the person that is the just this awesome player that needs to be taken out because otherwise they will win the game because they're so good at Survivor.
Yeah.
And the finalist edit is often like, hey, we're going to show you why this person lost,
Yeah.
which
Why they
is a
didn't
little
win.
bit more of a difficult like story to watch.
Yeah, for sure. It is. It's that is true. Like they're telling the story of the winner. The winner needs to be celebrated and agreed upon by the fan base in general.
Mm,
And so that's their goal. Their goal isn't to very rarely do they make it seem like a finalist should have won that didn't.
yeah.
And so yeah, that's I agree with all of that. That's a very sad position to be in. You don't have the time to decompress, and even if they tried to make the time for you to decompress, nobody would go along with it. Like if I'm on the
Yeah.
jury and they're like, hey guys, we're doing something new this season where we're staying for 3 extra days so these
Oh
guys can
God.
decompress, I'd be like, fuck those guys, get me home. And I hope that mentally they're never okay. Get me back to my family.
Couple extra days of not seeing my family, that I'll hold that against you forever. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so there's no way. I mean, they have therapists there. They have therapists call you afterwards, but it's the same thing. It's like the therapist has never experienced this. We need to have
Yeah.
the Survivor therapist play this game and be losing finalists. Like they need to just create a fake
Is there a
Survivor game
Is
so
there
that
a therapist that is a losing finalist? Can we pull back the Rolodex of losing finalists? Is
they
there a
should
I'll have to
have
really look.
they should have all therapists on a season and then
Mm.
use those therapists for the person that got voted out in the same
that
position or in the same manner as the who's writing this down? Riley's writing all my notes
that's
down.
the theme of
Oh,
that's actually the theme of 52.
52 therapists.
49 is the one before 50,
Yeah.
51 is the one after 50, and then 52 is therapists. Yeah.
Therapy
Oh,
session.
man.
52. I think honestly, like, because I exited these games and I come out and the therapist is like, how you feeling? And I'm like, you'd never get it even if I told you.
Yeah.
Like you can't, there's no way that we could have a conversation where you're going to understand everything I went through
Right.
and how I feel. No matter how long you've been here, no matter how many times you've seen the show, I need someone who's played the game to unload on. And that's the only thing that will help.
Yeah.
And so I think do one season of all therapists. That way you get a therapist in every exit position of the game. And then
Mhm.
then choose the best that you can choose as a future player. They say, okay, watch season 52, choose the therapist you want to talk to at the end of it all.
Mm. It's great. It's
Yeah.
yeah, put them all on the payroll.
Yeah.
Gosh, a
Yes.
whole
Yes.
season of therapy speak too. Like, all right, okay, well, let's make space for those feelings. And
Maybe that's your truth.
Yeah.
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 Oh
Oh,
God.
God.
I mean, I honestly do like it's hard because I've talked to therapists about this and I've never, maybe it's me, but I'm just like, you don't get it. You will never get it. No matter how well I explain this to you, you can't fully understand what I went through and how I'm trying to process any of it. And so why am I even trying here?
Yeah. It's
So
what I mean, I think it's what like when people are curious about like some of the relationships, right? Like I mean, that's it right there, right? Like those are the relationships that why people come away from Survivor, and people in the Survivor community have a handful of relationships that are very prevalent in their lives and very good friendships of theirs. It's because you go through things with people that are in this very finite amount of people in the world, 700 something people in the history of the United States or whatever, that have lived through this experience. And then there's even a smaller number of the people that have done it with you with the same level of information and the same parameters that you lived through. And depending on how far you make it in the game or what your shared experiences are on the island, right? Like there's so few people that can actually relate to it and get it. And that's what ends up, it's like trauma bonding, whatever, but it's real and forces like a lot of really tight relationships outside of Survivor.
yeah, that's right.
I guess we forgot about the most famous therapist to play, which was Denise. We already mentioned her.
Yeah, but she won.
Granted, she was a sex therapist. It's maybe a little different. Probably
Yeah.
not the person
That's
you
a
need
weird
after a
kink.
season of
That's
Survivor.
a weird kink to talk about.
Yeah.
Like we pretend, what we do at Roleplay is like I pretend that I won Survivor and then go from there. Yeah. Hannah Rose, who famously quit first episode,
Yep.
she's also a therapist, and she was fun to talk to here. I think 52 all therapists.
All therapists. Yeah, that's good.
My closing thoughts on the after show are: how do I get Star on retainer to be my hype person everywhere I go? Just constantly like nodding her head at what you say and just chiming in with the like, you got that right. Like I need that person by my side as I navigate life all the time.
You got to invite Star to your next like big pickleball match. And
Okay,
just have Star like on the sideline for the pickleball match. Psych out the opponent.
Yeah, that's right. She would too. Maybe some freestyle rap. Will the Riz God be enough to bring 49 out of the shadows of 50?
Just maybe. Like really, we're almost there already. What is a better Survivor name, the War Dog or the Riz God? I feel like
Riz God.
Oh man.
Riz God with who actually the Riz God is. The Riz God famous? Is he a famous streamer or something, or he just?
No, I think he just goes by Riz God, which is even better. Yeah, it's even cooler.
Yeah. War Dog was underwhelming because he did not bring the war that we thought. Like I was like when
War Dog unnecessary war. He randomly voted out people that he was aligned with for no reason, which was hilarious. But
I know, but I was thinking more of like a Rambo First Blood style War Dog.
He wasn't nasty, no.
Just like Sylvester Stallone, where he's like, I'm coming in and nobody's getting anything done against me because I'm too powerful, and he just like makes his own headbands and stuff. He didn't do any of that cool stuff.
I really think the Riz God is already set up, like, because he goes out there, he's the first boot, he's still like hilarious like Jelinski in like the best way possible. Like you go out there, call yourself the Riz God, go home first. That's still an awesome outcome for you. That's hilarious. And I'm kind of rooting for it for the meme. I don't know. But if he goes deep, that's also good for him. I
think he needs, no matter, even just based off just that, he needs to be on 50. Because if he's voted out first, he could be the second person to be voted out first.
I might be, making a fool out of myself here, but this could be the first person ever that we've seen the preview and can't win off the.
You don't think Riz God can win?
You can't vote for $1 million and write Riz God on that paper. Can't
does
do
he
it.
Does he tell people that he goes by Riz God? Do you think?
See, okay, that's a great question because I think his name is Rizzo, and
Yeah.
if he goes
Yeah.
by Rizzo in the game, he can win. If he wants people to vote for him as Rizgod, there's no chance he can win the game.
I don't know, but there's a part of me that wouldn't write Rizgod down on a parchment.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna write Rizzo anyways.
I hope he goes by
legally,
Rizgod.
you
I
can't
need to
touch
hear
that.
Jeff like turn over a vote and be like, first vote, Rizgod.
Rizgod.
Like, yeah, that's
no,
about
but Jeff, when you put people's nicknames, Jeff just says their real name.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
he?
he didn't do that for like War Dog, right? Like War Dog, he called him
because
War
War
Dog.
Dog, because everybody called him War Dog. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, if everybody calls you that, then I think so. If Rizgod gets everybody to call him Rizgod, then Jeff has to say Rizgod.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
that's all I want out of 49.
Do you think that
this
Rizgod
has-
will make Jeff Probst cry too, or the
Probably-
second person to ever make Jeff cry?
I feel like Jeff, like I, Jeff is celebrating the fact that he cried. It was a really emotional, like cool moment. I think deep down he's like disappointed in himself that he broke
That he
character.
finally cried.
Yeah, that he finally cried. Like I think we're about to see Jeff like lock in for 49 and be
I
a
hope
little bit
so.
more,
gnarly.
a little bit more harsh.
Do you know what the Rizgod's occupation is?
Yeah, he's a public notary public, right?
Yeah, he's a notary public. I
With a Rizgod stamp?
I don't know. The like mismatch there between occupation and name is insane to me.
I don't
awesome.
think so. I think he probably was streaming and he was like, want an easy job that pays pretty well and all you got to do is like a minimal amount of training for it. Notary public. You can have people come to your house or you can go to theirs, but you don't have to work in an office. Yeah, the shadiest places I've ever been in my life have been to notary public's houses. Is this the place? Is this a trap? What do I do? And they're like,
You're getting kidnapped.
you walk in, you're like, hello? And they're like, yeah, come on in. Ignore the dogs and the cigarette smoke. Like, you're a notary public? And they're like, yeah. I was like, what do you have to do to be one? And they're like, oh, I do stuff all the time. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah. So Rizgod, I would use him as my notary if I needed. But
Yeah.
Stole the show. He stole the show.
He stole the show. I'm very, very excited to see 49. Will 50 just overshadow it completely, or are we going to be fine? Is 49 going to be okay? And how are those people feeling? And do we need a season of therapists to play right before a gigantic all-star season? So then these people will understand what it's like to go through that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough one. It's a tough one, right? Like all of the hype, like the year-long celebration of 50 that Jeff has been talking about for a year now. The voting during 48, like the fan base is itching for season 50 for good reason, right? Like you bringing back legendary players, it's going to be awesome. But we've seen some pretty good, have we? No, I don't know. Seasons right before returning seasons that like ended up being awesome. I don't know.
Are you talking about 39? Generally, a lot of people don't.
The
really.
last season before.
I mean, 19.
39.
Yeah,
people don't like
well-
39, Sam. That's definitely a
No, I'm not
crazy
talking
hot
about 39.
take.
China
That's a
and
crazy hot
Micronesia.
I was thinking about 29 at first, but 30's not. It's 31. It's not
Yeah.
30. So it's like 19 is basically just like introducing Russell
China
to
into
people.
16 with Micronesia,
Yeah,
and
that's
19
that's like the
going
classic.
into 20 with Russell. Yeah, 19 at the time, people were generally pretty celebratory of that season. I don't think now it cracks many people's top seasons, but
Yeah.
I think at the time it was pretty.
It's like 19 and 20 viewed together are a
Yeah.
really good experience, but 19 alone is like
Yeah.
A lot. So, maybe 40. Nope. Rizgod, we know, is not a therapist. I was going to say maybe they're already doing the all therapists season, but they're not. Sam, anything else in closing?
we do have at least one therapist I see here on
Thank
49.
goodness.
Yo,
Thank goodness.
I
woman
want them
named
to get
Sage.
second place.
So you
Yeah.
can talk to him.
I'm
Immediately
rooting for that
talk to
person
him.
to have a heartbreaking end.
Yeah, finally the healing that Sam needs.
Yeah.
Can you
I'm
also
sorry
in
to-
turn heal this therapist, or no? That's above your pay grade.
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like that's more like how open are they to really being like healed, right?
Yeah.
Therapists might be some like I feel
Closed
like
off a little bit.
yeah, you help all these other people, and maybe you're less open with your own emotions. So
Yeah.
who is it? Do we have a name on this person, Riley?
The therapist for next
Yeah.
season, Sage.
Sage.
Oh, Sage, 47 alternate. She
Wow.
was our
Oh,
alternate.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So there you go.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
great. I'm already
Okay.
in. I already feel like
Yeah.
there's like some
Sage
sort
the
of
therapist. Yeah.
so
And
there's the shared experience that we're talking about there too.
Yeah.
Tyson is like,
wow. You're going to get this healing, Sam.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for you. I think that you're
I no longer want Sage to get second place though, because I am like inclined to root for the 47 alternate to win.
Okay.
So
Okay, you want her to win.
You want
But
to
then
win.
her therapy is gonna be worth nothing. She's gonna be like, Survivor's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
What are you
I
talking
love
about?
Survivor. I actually am not a therapist anymore.
yeah, I made all this money. I don't have to work anymore.
Yeah, I now own a therapy office or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm owner, not really. I don't work as one. Ashleigh, was your therapist that you dated closed off? Was it hard to?
Horrible.
Okay.
Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Not to give too much away, but this therapist was an alcoholic
Oh.
and very closed off.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, it's fine.
You got to be hardened though to hear all these problems.
But they
probably.
they could have been a really good Survivor player. So,
Yeah.
I think personally.
Or maybe a great therapist.
No.
No. Okay.
Really good Survivor player.
Well, let's get that person on Survivor. Maybe they'll change their lives for the
That
better.
non-Survivor playing therapist, being a potential good Survivor player that's not a good therapist.
Yes.
Credit to them.
Credit to them. Sam, thank you so much for joining us, doing this breakdown of season 48. Thank you all for listening for the entirety of the season. We had so many positive comments and feedbacks. Everybody was stoked on each guest that we got. And a lot of people said they liked tuning in here as much or more than watching the show. They actually watched the show so that they could tune in and find out if Riley was going to be here and listen to the podcast.
And he always was.
He always was.
Perfect
There we go.
attendance.
Yeah, you're gonna have to mix it up a little next season, or people will just expect you to be here, Riley.
Yeah, yeah, but I'd hate to have that.
That'll do it here at The Pod Has Spoken. Ashleigh, thank you for making us sound and look amazing. Riley, thank you for being here each and every week. Sam, thank you for your takes on the season. Till 49 or 50, we'll see. See ya.